YouTube live update. We've got a little storm system rolling through. It actually moved in later, I guess last night, bringing some moderate to occasionally heavy snowfall to areas along the divide, especially up in our mountains. We did have a snow squall warning for areas closer towards Georgetown Lake and Phillipsburg early this morning, say closer to midnight. But things have quieted down considerably. That said, we're still dealing with some active weather with valley rain and mountain snow showers, though we could see those snow showers drop with our temperatures over the next couple of hours, bringing at least a chance for some snowfall to places like the Missoula and Bitterroot Valley. So I'm going to make sure everything's working here behind the scenes. We'll give it about, say, 30 seconds to a minute. I'll spin around and show you those current conditions across western Montana from Kalispell, Missoula, Bozeman, and then Homestake Pass there near Butte. But we'll get started here momentarily, as I think everything should be working here well here in just a moment. So, like I said, we'll give it about another 20 to 30 seconds, and we'll go through this update as we see a more active period of weather, at least for the next few hours, before things start to quiet down. Looks like everything's working the way that I planned on it. Probably bring this up a couple of times, but we'll get started here. As you're tuning in, certainly let us know where you're watching from and whether you were looking, this is more just a question from me. Are you looking forward to more warmer air like we've seen the last few days, or could you go back to a little bit more in the way of snowfall? I've certainly, just even here in the newsroom, we've had mixed results. A few people are like, I think we could go for just a little bit more snow, maybe not the bitter cold temperatures, while others are just saying, spring, it's almost here, bring it on. So, certainly, share your opinion on you're more ready for spring, or are you looking for a little bit more winter? But also, again, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask those in the chat section, and I'll keep an eye on those as we go throughout it. So let's get fully started in with today's update. Overall, well, we've seen some relatively quiet conditions, some spotty showers here and there throughout the afternoon. Overall, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies right now. We can see that especially from our Kalispell camera and then from the MDT camera there at Homestake Pass. Right now, conditions on the roads, especially down into southwest Montana over Homestake Pass, Interstate 15, US 191, much better now than what we were looking at yesterday. But that said, and I'm just going to be checking something over on my other screen here, we are starting to see some diminishing road conditions over places like Lookout Pass and Lolo Pass as our next wave of moisture starts to roll in. So looking at where we're at temperature-wise, valleys were in the mid to upper 30s, 34 there in Butte, 39 for Bozeman and Missoula, 38 in Kalispell. Cloudy skies are quite common right now, but we do still have the potential for some accumulating snowfall, especially in the mountains of northwest and west central Montana, where we have winter weather advisories for the West Glacier region, the Potomac-Seeley Lake region, the Bitterroot and Sapphire Mountains, and the lower Clark Fork region, as well as the Clearwater Mountains of Idaho. These all continue through 11 p.m. this evening. In general, accumulations of about 1 to 4 inches on average are going to be common. Areas that could see the heaviest snowfall really along the Montana-Idaho state line, Lookout, Lolo, Lost Trail passes, where we could see some of those heavier snowfall totals maybe closer into that 3 to 5 inch range before all is said and done. And all of this is being driven by this little spin in the atmosphere. There's not a whole lot to it, more of a weak to moderate type of storm system. But you see on the backside of this, all this plume of moisture that's lifting northward. This is the start of a ridge of high pressure that's going to build in after this storm system clears. And that's going to bring us quieter and drier weather conditions. But before we get to that, we're still dealing with this storm system. Let's jump right into radar, and I'll show you what we're looking at least over the last 3 hours. Again, I know I have a little bit more, a few more of you working your way in. Certainly feel free to let us know where you're tuning in from, and then if you have any questions or comments about this storm system or even what we can expect later on into the week, certainly feel free to ask those in the chat section. So getting back into radar, we've seen this general west to east motion with the moisture today. There was a weak cold front that started this particular flow that rolled in last night. This has helped to keep the winds up down in southwest Montana, gusting at times, I say, anywhere from 15 to 35 miles per hour. But the moisture primarily for areas west of the divide. And I'm going to stop this so we can get a kind of a better sense of what we're looking at right now. As for that precipitation, again, snow levels around 3,500 to 4,000 feet. We could see these drop just a little bit over the next couple of hours. But you're noticing most of the moisture is staying up in the mountains. You see this towards the Mission Mountains, down into the Rattlesnake Mountains, and then eventually into the Sapphire Mountains from this particular band. But we're seeing that cross over into the Sealy Swan Valley, and then further east from there into the Bob Marshall Wilderness, back off here to the east of Sealy Lake. That isn't going to be the end of the story. You're seeing some of these bands develop north of Interstate 90, close to the Highway 200 corridor. We could see more of those develop over the next few hours as our next wave of moisture rolls into the area, and we're seeing even a little bit back down towards Lolo Pass and the Bitterroot Mountains. But here's this second wave, and this is what could bring us the best chance for a little bit of valley snowfall, I think, especially for places like the Mission, Missoula, and Bitterroot valleys, but the potential for some higher snowfall rates up towards Lookout, Lolo, and Lost Trail passes, anywhere from about a half an inch to perhaps as high as an inch per hour. So this is going to lead to some rapidly changing road conditions up over those passes. Most valleys not expecting impacts to travel other than maybe a little bit of a refreeze of moisture on the roads. But up over those passes, that's where we have at least the best chance for impacts due to this accumulating snowfall. Now, Future Tracker's done a pretty good job. Oops, I did not want that to roll. Let's back that up. It has done a good job picking up on the general location of this moisture along the state line and then up closer to the divide in northwest Montana, maybe a touch overdone towards the Glacier National Park area, but some light showers certainly are possible up there over the next few hours. Other than a few flurries in southwest Montana, we're generally quiet and just cloudy. We're going to continue to see this moisture roll through. One note, I think, again, as we get closer to, say, 8 to 10 o'clock, you see this finally starting to drop into the Missoula Valley. Could see a quick little dusting of snowfall, maybe up to an inch. I don't think we're going to see that. I think most areas in the valleys, if we see any accumulation at all, should stay less than a half an inch. And as you're seeing up here, closer to the Mission Valley, it may stay as rain as well. So something we'll have to keep an eye on. Some models are a little bit warmer. Some forecast models are a little bit cooler. So rain-snow mix, likely our best bet for our valley areas. And then again, above 4,000 feet should stay as all snow. We'll continue to see this moisture roll kind of from west to east with a little bit of a southward motion in the overall storm system. Showers continue primarily for areas west of the divide into the early morning hours of tomorrow. Maybe a few showers down towards Bozeman, more likely up in the higher elevations as well. But as we get to sunrise tomorrow, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, we're just going to be looking at mostly cloudy skies. There is a chance for a few flurries here and there, but not expecting much in the way of impactful weather. And as we go into Wednesday, we're looking at partly cloudy skies outside of northwest Montana, and so the beginning of a quieter period of weather as high pressure begins to roll in. And as we go Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday, we're just going to be looking at those quiet conditions, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies, though a little bit more cloud cover likely hangs on up here into northwest Montana, where you're just going to be right at the top of that ridge as the disturbances are rolling up and over the top. Now, as for those temperatures, we're going to be starting off in Missoula. We're going to see those temperatures warming into the mid-40s for Wednesday and the lower 50s by the time we get into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Most areas are going to still be remaining in the 40s for this end of the week into the weekend period. Temperatures anywhere from about 8 to 12 degrees above average area-wide is expected, though one note with this, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. There are some indications that depending on how cold it gets, say tonight and tomorrow morning, places like Missoula, the northern Bitterroot valleys, maybe even the Mission valleys, we could see a little bit of an inversion setup. So if it gets cold enough, say temperatures drop down into the lower 20s or even the teens, that cold air may be stubborn to move out. So again, these temperatures forecasts upper 40s, lower 50s are most likely, but if those inversions hold strong, there are some places that may not even get to 40. So that is something we'll have to keep an eye out for, especially for Thursday and Friday. Still a lot of question marks on there, but overall that range was anywhere from, say, the upper 30s to the mid 50s for those temperature ranges, and it all comes down to how stubborn that cold air is into Thursday morning and again Friday morning. So just one note to that. Now down into southwest Montana, likely not looking at that same kind of impact. So Bozeman, even though the temperatures, that ceiling is a little bit cooler, temperatures mid to upper 40s remain common in that same period. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, temperatures anywhere from 8 to 12 degrees above average before they start to dip just a little bit into Sunday. And the reason for that will be an increase in cloud cover as well as our potential next storm system. Right now, it doesn't look particularly strong. This will be in the Sunday into Monday timeframe, bringing the chance for primarily valley rain and mountain snow showers, though depending on how much cold air is with it, we could see another round of light snowfall down in the valleys. Overall, right now, best chance is about 20 to 30% likelihood of those showers, but we have plenty of time to watch out for that storm system. And outside of that, we're still relatively quiet. I am going to bring this back up, even though we've seen plenty of snowmelt over the last couple of days. That's been a big story for our snowpack. But if you haven't done it in areas that we're still dealing with the snow on our roofs and such, certainly take heed of these particular, or take advice of these, or, oh my goodness, I can't speak. What I'm trying to say is certainly take the advice from this graphic to heart and make sure we can keep those storm drains clear. I know here in Missoula, I was gone most of the weekend, so I was out of town. So I went from plenty of snow all over the Missoula Valley, went out of town, came back yesterday to all of these areas that were buried in snow just a couple of days ago with how warm it got, and then the rain on top of that being, just muddy. So practically back in down into mud season at this point, but we are only a couple of days from meteorological spring, so I guess the timing isn't too out of the ordinary, but it would not surprise me to see winter make a return even as we get into March. There are some indications as we get towards, say, the 5th to the 12th time period, we could see a couple of systems roll through, bringing colder temperatures and maybe a little bit better chances of some snowfall after this next period of dry weather. So again, I'm going to throw those tips back up for preventing snowmelt flooding, especially if you're at a slightly higher elevation area. Maybe you're dealing with this a little bit more right now than others. But that said, localized ponding on area roads because of the snowmelt and the potential of a little bit of rain, that is going to be sticking around all the way through the end of the weekend because of these warmer temperatures, but also ice jams. We could see a little bit of ice jam flooding here and there, some minor impacts from that. So if you're near any of the rivers or creeks and streams that tend to get ice on them, you might have noticed some of that breakup, but also that could lead to some more issues over the next little bit as well. So really, once we get beyond tonight, conditions quiet down even more than we've seen over the last couple of days. I know we were dealing with the heavier mountain snow and valley rainfall. I know this weekend I was looking at some sites. One I got home last night, especially across northwest Montana, picked up anywhere from 1 to nearly 3 inches of moisture over that 72-hour period, and even in the valleys, saw anywhere from, say, 1/4 of an inch to some localized 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. Really for areas near and north of Interstate 90 and west of the divide. So there was some beneficial moisture that came out of it. Unfortunately, that has put a decent impact on our snowpack numbers. We saw some very good improvement as we got into Wednesday and Thursday because of all the snowfall we had seen. Most of our mountain basins were, say, 80 to 100%, if not just a little bit more than that, of average for the snow water equivalent values over that 1991 to 2020 period. Unfortunately, if you saw forecaster Brianna Henderson's update this evening, you saw that those numbers have quickly gone back down into the 70 to 80% range because of the mild conditions and the rainfall on top of that snow, helping to just accelerate the snow melting process. We're going to continue to see that. One little note, though, one more note with those with the snow melt. It may not be as rapid for the next couple of days because temperatures will be falling back down to near average, if not a little bit below average. So the more we see that, those temperatures staying below, or I say average, below freezing, I should specify. And then we'll see that snow melt essentially get halted, and it'll only be a slow, gradual melt. But in areas that we see those temperatures staying above freezing overnight, we'll see that more rapid in the snow melt process. But that's pretty much everything I had. We've got the storm system tonight. Winter weather advisories for our mountain areas west of the divide continue through 11 p.m. Really from now until about midnight, it's going to be the peak of this next wave of moisture. Low lookout, Lost Trail passes. Could see snowfall rates of about a half an inch to an inch per hour, and overall accumulations for our mountains generally about 1 to 5 inches remaining, though I think most areas are going to be probably closer to that 1 to 3 inch range. And in this window, we could see those snow levels drop back down to valley floors. It's going to be close, so rain-snow mix for valleys west of the divide certainly remains the likely outcome with this. But that's everything that I had for this YouTube live update. Again, last chance if you have any questions or comments about this, feel free to ask those in the chat section. And if not, then I will start wrapping this up. If you have any photos or videos of the rain, the snow, if you've got any flooding in your area, certainly feel free to share those with us, nbcmontana.com/chime in. And then tune into our live broadcast at 10 this evening. I'll have the latest weather updates. Laurel Staples will be here at the anchor desk with the latest news updates. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster and Jason Hurst on NBC Montana Today starting at 5 a.m. So I think with that, I will fully wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in and enjoying this YouTube live update. And then I will see you all on the next one. I will likely be back tomorrow evening for another update. Mostly it'll be a short update because of the warmer temperatures. So likely not as long as the one we've seen tonight, or especially as long as the ones over the last couple of weeks because of the much more active weather we were dealing with last week. But, well, everyone, have a great evening, stay safe, and I will see you all in the next one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coombs.